Hello, everyone. I am what is often referred to as a cradle Catholic. That is, I was baptized into the Catholic Church and raised as a Catholic from birth. However, in my case, my mom was a Catholic and my dad was an Episcopalian. We had a regular Sunday ritual of going to Mass and then meeting Dad for breakfast at the Roswell Inn. I attended St. Peter's Grade School and then the Abbey School run by the Benedictine monks of Holy Cross Abbey in Canyon City, Colorado. These were probably 4 of the happiest years of my life. I think that if one or more of the monks had said, "George, you ought to give the monastery a try. It's a good life," I would have done just that. It was during these years I became grounded in my faith, a grounding that would later prove very important. During my time at the Abbey, I was very much attracted to the life of the monks. They seemed so content and at peace. It was also an opportunity to get to know the monks, priests, and brothers as individuals, good religious men, but human beings with imperfections like the rest of us. These were times of great change in the Church. The Vatican II Council was taking place during this time, and many changes were taking place. For example, during the summer between my junior and senior year at the Abbey, 4 monks I knew left the monastery to get married. There were big changes in how we celebrated the liturgy and much discussion on social and moral issues. It was during this time of questioning and change that I enrolled at the University of Arizona. I moved from a heavily Catholic environment to a primarily secular world, and one that would test my faith. While I continued to practice my faith at college, slowly I drifted away from regular Mass and confession. This continued into my late 20s or early 30s, when I began to return to regular Mass attendance. My slow return to the practice of my faith I credit to the grounding I had received at home and at the Abbey. I was always drawn to the Abbey and maintained a close contact. I recall thinking about the Holy Cross and how peaceful the monk's life seemed. I thought about going back, but it was mostly during difficult times, and I remembered myself running from something is not a reason to consider a religious vocation. I would say, however, that I was at best a lukewarm Catholic, until my wife decided to become a Catholic, and I was her sponsor. My experience in RCIA was a shot in the arm for my faith. About a year later, the RCIA team asked if I would help out with the class that year. This began what turned into an almost 20-year ministry in RCIA. My faith grew stronger and stronger because of the exposure to the faith of those coming to the Catholic tradition. I changed occupations, and this allowed me to attend daily Mass and become more active in liturgical ministry. I began to serve at Mass once a week and also helped out at funerals and weddings. During Lent, we encouraged the RCIA group to attend the Stations of the Cross and Benediction, and I began attending and helping with these devotions as well. God was certainly using the RCIA program to draw me closer to Him. My parish became the place I spent a good deal of my free time, but I still had my business and social life. I early alluded to the fact that I was married. While my participation in RCIA was a very positive result of my marriage, there were a number of other issues which ultimately ended our marriage. This was one of the most difficult times of my life. My pastor was a wise and experienced priest, and he encouraged me to look into an annulment. I followed his advice, and my marriage was annulled. I will tell you that I never imagined this would happen to me. Divorce happened to other people, not to me. The annulment process caused me to look at my life with real honesty. It was difficult, but healing as well. Through it, I learned never to judge anyone who has suffered through a divorce, and I hold those who have long and successful marriages in very, very high regard. The other thing that came as a result of my divorce was I began to trust God more. He provided me with such wonderful support through the people of my parish. I became even more active in the parish community and made new friends. God is always there, but often He is present in the people we meet and with whom we interact. I settled into a comfortable routine, attending daily Mass, working with RCIA and other ministries at my parish, and running my business. I remained a member of the Knights of Columbus and the Sarah Club, an organization that promotes vocations to the priesthood, and participated in their activities. My faith was at the most mature point in my life. I was reading and attending presentations and discussion groups about the faith. Life was good, and I was very comfortable. But Blessed John Cardinal Newman said, "To live is to change, and to be perfect is to have changed often." Well, there was change coming in my life. As many of you will remember, in 2008, the economy took a tremendous hit. My business, Barbecues Galore, was affected, and in 2011, I decided it was time to close shop. I was not ready to retire and not sure I could have anyway, so I began thinking about what I would do next. It was at a barbecue at a friend's house that a priest by the name of Father John said to me, "George, you ought to consider the priesthood." I told him I thought I was too old, but he said, "No, look into it. It's a good life for the right person." We were interrupted, but the conversation stuck in my mind. Short time later, I was going to reconciliation, confession, and another Father John, after he gave me absolution, said, "George, after you get this business stuff taken care of, I want you to talk about the priesthood." Well, that got my attention. I emailed Monsignor Al and asked him how old he was when he was ordained. He told me and then said, "Should we talk?" Now, I don't know if there was any collusion going on. God uses collusion in any case. But I applied to the Diocese of Tucson and was accepted and enrolled at the Sacred Heart School of Theology in August 2012. I was ordained to the priesthood on December 19th, 2015, at the age of 64. We each have our story. We each have a personal and unique relationship with God. God is constantly calling us to follow Him, but He always meets us where we are.